Hi, it's me again. In this tutorial I'll be using Card Builder die set as well as Trellis Corner, Leaf and Blossom and Bird and Branch die sets to create a large, intricate card with lots of details. The card measures 6¼ by 8¼ inches. It has quite a bit of layers. It has large elements as well as the small ones, and still there is some simplicity about it. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make it. This die set is meant to create a framed card with a window. It has 3 plain frame dies of each shape, as well as 2 decorative inserts of each shape. The second largest plain rectangular frame, this one, measures exactly 5 by 7 inches. So now I'm going to use the 3 smallest rectangle dies to create an intricate frame for my card. I'm placing them all face down onto a piece of white cardstock. I'm making sure I align them really well, then I'm going to tape them down and send them through the die cutting machine. This time I'm going to use a metal shim while die cutting, and this is going to allow me to die cut all the intricate details at one go. Now I'm clearing out all the negative pieces, and then I'm going to create another frame for the card, which is going to be the same size. This frame is going to be plain, and I will be using it as a background for the intricate one. I have taped down the 5 by 7 frame, then I'm placing the insert, and then I'm finding the position for the inner frame and taping it down, only the inner one, and then I can remove the insert. This time the insert only helps me to position both dies straight, and here is the plain frame, and it fits behind the intricate one just like that. I flipped over the upper layer and I'm applying some liquid glue to the inner outline as well as to the outer one, and I'm also placing some random dots of glue onto the trellis. And then I can stick the frame on top of the background. I used a cutting plate to press the frame down while it dries, and here you can see all this lovely texture that is created by the die. Now I have also die cut the background 5 by 7 inches out of light gray cardstock. Next I'll be using a die from Trellis Corner die set. I'm placing it onto a larger piece of white cardstock and sending it through the die cutting machine. This die creates a corner with the negative trellis pattern. We can leave it just like that, or we can take it one step further and create the entire background. This is how it's done. I'm flipping over the die cut and I'm positioning the die again so that it's really close to the edge of the pattern that I have already die cut, and I'm making sure all the lines go straight. I'm basically just eyeballing it. Then I'm taping the die down, send it through the machine, and this is the result that I get. This pattern is absolutely seamless. You can never say that it was created with a corner die. Now I'm going to take my scissors and cut around this pattern. I'm leaving a border about ½ inch. No problem if I'm not cutting too straight, because the edges are going to be hidden anyway. Here I have created the square frame exactly the same way as I did with the rectangular one. And now I'm going to stick the patterned frame on top of the plain one, just like I did before. This square is going to frame a window of my card. Then I'm applying some double-sided tape at the wrong side of the large frame, and I'm going to place it right on top of my trellis pattern, and you see that it fits right inside the frame just perfectly. The next step is creating a window. I'm going to take the frame that I have made, I'm finding the right position for it, and then I'm tracing it with a pencil on the inside of the window. Then I'm going to cut out the window with the scissors using that pencil line. Next I'm going to attach the square frame, so I am applying some liquid adhesive onto the trellis around the opening as well as onto the frame itself, and then I'm going to stick it down onto my card front. This is what my project looks like at the moment. I have also applied a double layer of foam tape at the wrong side of the frames, and then I'm mounting this intricate piece on top of the 5x7 panel. This way the trellis is raised above the surface of the panel, and you can even see the shadows that it casts. The next set I'm going to use is Bird and Branch die set, and it's great for creating accents. It has 6 different branch shapes and 8 bird shapes. I've die cut one of the branches out of white cardstock, and now I'm sticking it down onto the background right inside the window. Then I'm going to add one of the birds to this branch. I've die cut the birds out of silver foiled cardstock. I will also be adding another bird to the card, and I have attached about 3 foam squares to it. I'm also applying some liquid glue, and this way it can be perched right onto the frame. The last die set I'm using for this project is Leaf and Blossom set, and it's a great addition to branches and birds. Since it has several kinds of leaf shapes and flower shapes, you can create all 4 seasons just by adding the leaves to the branches, or by not adding them. Since my card is about springtime, I'm using a couple of birds, some smaller leaves, and I will also be using some flowers later on. Now when I have created a little scene inside the frame, I'm also going to decorate the trellis. So I've die cut the branches out of silver foiled cardstock, and now I'm twirling them around the trellis. After I find the right position for the branch, I'm using a little bit of liquid adhesive to secure it into place. I'm also tucking the ends of the branches behind the frame. As I mentioned before, I'm also adding some flowers. I've die cut them out of white cardstock. I've placed them onto the card front, and when I'm happy with the placement, I'm using some liquid adhesive to secure them into place. At this point, I can attach this piece onto 5x7 card base and be done, but I want to take this card one step further and add another larger frame underneath. I am using 2 largest dies from the set to create the panel with a border. I also had to switch to wider cutting plates. Now I'm applying some adhesive onto this frame at the wrong side. I'm using both tape and liquid glue, and now I'm mounting this piece onto a great cardstock panel that is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 inches. I have a piece of cardstock here that is also 8 1/4 by 6 1/4, plus it has half an inch hinge to it. And now I'm just sticking down my panel to that hinge. This piece of cardstock turned out to be a bit larger. I did the wrong measurements, so I'm simply trimming it down. So here is my large card base, and now I can just apply some tape and stick down the panel on top of it. So this is what the finished project looks like. I like the fact that this card is so large. Somehow large cards look a bit more significant all by themselves. This size also allows you to place more elements inside the card without overcrowding it. So that was just one idea on how you can use the card builder die set. More are coming soon. I hope you enjoyed.